Good morning, residents, and welcome to the North Brunswick Boost, where we highlight positive people and positive events in our town that make it such a great place to live. This morning, I am joined by our Director of Community Development, Mr. Michael Hritz. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Michael Hritz is also the president of our North Brunswick Historical Society, which he's going to tell us a little bit about today. So, can you tell us when did you start the Historical Society?
Well, the original Historical Society was constituted in 1978, so it's actually been around for some time. But there was a period into the late 90s when membership really dissipated and there was no leader, and so we had to reconstitute the Historical Society, which we did in the early 2000s. So we have a small number of board of trustees that manage the Historical Society, and then, broader support when we do fundraising campaigns or have special events or something of that nature.
And what's the primary purpose of the Historical Society?
Well, really, the house behind us is become one of our primary purposes at this point. This is the John and Mary Buckelew House that the township inherited as part of its purchase and acquisition of the 70-acre Pulda Farm. And we're the only town immediately around us in Middlesex County that doesn't have a historical house open to the public. And so our near-term and long-term goal are to save and restore this house, and then one day have it opened as a museum, as a cultural site where there can be special events, both public and even private, maybe weddings and things of that nature. So that's one of our primary goals. And the second project that we've announced is a project to create historical markers. And that's something we're working on. And we want to start to develop those types of signs and historical markers that you see in other communities and have them placed around the township at different points of historical interest.
So North Brunswick, for those of residents that don't know this, we have a very significant history during the Revolutionary War, correct?
Yes.
And so what's the significance of this house and why it's special and needs to be saved?
Well, the primary significance of the house is its age. So it's coming up on almost 300 years old. So the oldest part of the house is known as an East Jersey cottage. And from what we've been able to research through deeds and other historical documents, we believe that the oldest portions of the house were built around 1745. And then almost 100 years later, in the mid-19th century, around 1853, the house was substantially expanded with what's known as a federal style architecture. And so those things combined are really what make it historically significant. And lastly, to your point, one of the most notable things we found while researching the deeds for the property is they provide written evidence that there were slaves on this property. Wow. And there were slaves in this home. When John Buckelew, who was the original founder and homeowner of this property, when he left this house to his son Obadiah, his will specifically has language that talks about the slave Pompey and talks about how he must be protected and given the opportunity to stay and live on the property and be taken care of by the Buckelew family. So that was an interesting development as part of our research, that we could document that there were actually slaves here on this property in North Brunswick as part of its history.
North Brunswick has such a rich history. There are books in the library if you want to read more about it. But as we are trying to preserve this house on this open space in North Brunswick, as Mr. had said, this is Pulda Farm, and this is right off Route 130. The main fundraiser that the Historical Society does is a gala that they hold every 5 years, and it celebrates the anniversary of our town. North Brunswick was founded in February, and this year was how many years?
245.
So the next gala will be 5 years from now, which will be 250 years. What anniversary is that? It's written here.
It's a long word for people to Google look up. It's a semi-quintennial.
Semi-quincentennial. So that is its 250th anniversary. The gala is held every 5 years, and the funds that are raised from the gala support fixing up this house and the rest of the history in our town. The gala also highlights community members, as this TV show does, that do wonderful things in our town. And every year it's about 5, 6, 7 honorees that come with their family, and we get to hear their stories and hear about all the wonderful things that they do in our town. All of this information, if not listed on the website now, will be there soon. We'll make sure that it's up there. You can see the program that has all the rich information about our history of our town. And if you have any questions, you can always call the township to get more information. Is there anything else you'd like to
No,
add?
thank you so much. And hopefully over time, we invite the public to join in our campaign and help save this amazing home, and one day get it open so that everybody in North Brunswick can bring their friends and families and children and learn a little bit about our rich history.
Thank you for joining us.